whatever happens, but so take your time, start to get comfortable, and you know, if you want to sit up on blankets, do it. If you want to grab a blanket or two. If you feel like you want to sit even higher, you can do that. Remember, if you need to stretch your legs out, or if you'd rather sit like in hero pose rather than sitting cross-legged, so that you let your thighs get a little bit of release there, do. Or remember too, if you're sitting cross-legged and you feel even a little bit like your hips maybe would feel better to have some support, I actually love to put my blocks underneath the outside of my legs sometimes there to give support. But just get comfortable, let your eyes close. And let your head just come forward and turn a little bit from side to side if you feel some tightness there in your neck. If you need to stay kind of on one side for a second, do. And then once you come into starting to let the top of the head reach up, go ahead and feel your shoulders nice and wide and open. And watch your breath coming in and going out through your nose. Take your time to feel that length upward through the top of your head, but feel your sitting bones reaching down towards the ground. And you know, if you're comfortable to come into those 3-part breaths, you can inhale into your belly, into your ribs, all the way up into your chest. And on your next exhale, bring your hands to meet in front of your chest, into spreading your fingers wide into your prayer hands here. But then just see if you can interlace your fingers, just your pointer fingers and your middle fingers, cross your thumbs, and then lower the pointer fingers and the middle fingers down, like you would be doing a clasp, but you still have your ring fingers and your pinkies up, right? So you can let yourself then just get where you're very comfortable to be with your hands. They can come inward more a little bit towards your chest, or you can let them come down, just so you feel released, with the shoulders releasing down away from your ears. And then just close your eyes and appreciate just feeling how your hands are together here. Watch your breath coming in and going out through your nose. Imagine you're breathing equally in and out through both sides of your nose. Good. One more breath here. Undo your hands, release them on down beside you, and let's inhale just our right arm all the way out and up overhead. And then come over to a little side stretch. Take a nice breath there into the right side. And then we're going to rise back up. We're going to switch arms, let your left arm come up, and we're going to go over to the other side. So we're not staying a long time. We're going to do that a couple of times back and forth. So inhale your way back up and switch arms again and come on over to the right side stretch. You might want to go a little further, bend the left arm a little more, and then come on back up again, and we're going to switch over again to reaching through the left side. So let's do that one more time each side, letting yourself come up with the right arm and over to the side. And then just rise on up and again, come on over to the left side stretch there. And then we'll rise on back up. Bring your hands behind you. Let yourself either stay on fingertips or you can go back onto your hands. That's up to you. Draw your chest forward. Let yourself open up through the front body. Where you want to look is up to you. Be really mindful of your neck. And then come on up and clasp your hands behind you now and start to ease forward. Imagine your chest is leading you forward into a little seated forward bend. So how far you go is up to you. You might want to go just a little bit. You may want to continue going further and further. Just Be mindful. You may want to let your head hang there at the end. Let it feel good. Try to feel as released as you can in your neck. If you want to release your arms off your back a little bit or a lot more, do it. If that doesn't feel good, don't push anything. And then we're going to slowly rise all the way on back up. And once we're here, lean back enough to switch the cross of your legs. So if you need to stretch them out a little bit, do. And then again, if you're not cross-legged, come back to long legs. That's fine. Let yourself just get comfortable there. And this time, we're going to circle the navel. Let ourselves just start to move with the breath, inhaling as your navel comes forward and exhaling when it comes back towards your spine. Keep on going in the same direction. Let yourself just feel that ease of waking up the belly and the low back and the hips. You can put your hands wherever feels good so that you feel very comfortable in your shoulders. Really just focusing on the navel here with that movement. And then when you're ready to go in the other direction, you stop where you choose and sort of unwind. Keeping that focus there on finding that sense of using the belly. Feel really the side abdominals, and you'll feel your low back. Good. And then finish off however you're heading into now. So you can come back up to sitting nice and tall. Let yourself sit tall. And let's stretch our left leg out in front of us and let your right leg come in wherever's comfortable. You may want to go lower, you may want to go higher, you might want to use a block. Just wake up the back of the leg a little bit. Come on forward. It doesn't matter if you just come a little inch or so, or maybe you feel good to come farther forward to feel the back of the leg. Let the left heel be on the ground. Draw it back towards you so you're engaged as you come into stretching into the back of that leg. Enjoy. Good. One more breath here. And now we're going to come on up. Take this knee up and bring your foot over to the outside of your leg here. Now it can be below or above your knee. It doesn't matter how low or high it is. Sit up nice and tall here at first and really hold on here below your knee to your shin. Feel just opening up a little more into that right hip there. And on your next exhale, we're going to go ahead and twist, bringing our right hand on around and come on into twist there. So you don't have to go far. Just let it feel like you're waking up your spine. Feel that sense of what you're, up into the right hip there, the right buttock. Feeling a nice release. One more breath. And then make your way on back into center. And from here, see if you can just pick up your leg and just hold it for a second. And you can rock it a little back and forth just to feel like you're holding your leg in your hands and letting your hip release. If it feels even better to circle a little bit, you can kind of make these circles, feeling that really sense of releasing there in your right hip. So just kind of play a little bit more. Take your time, really feel that weight of your leg. And then we're going to release, and we're going to stretch that leg back long, and we're going to bring the right foot in for coming into that little bit of a seated forward bend. So again, how low or high you have your foot on the inside of your leg is up to you. As you come forward, heel draws down, press into the ball of your foot there. So now you're engaged. You're engaged both in your thigh, you feel it tighten, and you're engaged in your hamstring. You can go as far as you want, you know that. Again, let it feel like you're just waking up here into the back of the leg. Enjoy. Good. So one more breath here. And we're going to take our time. Rise on back up. Bring the knee on up. And then send the foot over to the outside of your right leg there somewhere. Again, it does not have to be low or high. It can be in the middle if you want. Find a good spot to where when you hold on below your knee there, you can lengthen up And you can really get that sense of coming into that left hip there. So one more inhale here. And as you exhale, twist to your left, bring your left hand behind you, and just easily come on around. Waking up the spine there. And be mindful about where you're looking. You know, if your neck feels a little iffy, you can turn your head to look just to the side of you, or you can try to look behind yourself. Sometimes it feels really good to turn back to look in front of yourself too, right? So if you're having night neck issues, right, just be mindful. And one more breath here. And then very easily come on back around into center. And again, take the weight of your leg here. Let yourself pick it up if you can. And again, whether you move it just a little side to side like that, where you just kind of rock the baby, or maybe it feels good to think about moving in a circle so that you feel that sort of release in your hip. So just take your time. Really, you do have the weight of your leg, so if you were to let it go, it would just kind of plop down, right? Good. And then we're going to let ourselves release, stretch our legs on out in front of us, bring our hands behind us. Now flex your feet. Let yourself draw your chest forward. It doesn't matter, you know, what part of your hands are on the floor. Just open up there a little more through the front body. Be mindful of your neck again. Good. And now let's come on up, and we're going to come around towards our hands and knees. So you know, if you want a blanket, grab a blanket. Otherwise, if something else is bothering you, like your hands, your wrists, if you need to come down out of your hands, do it. Or if you need to come on the fists, do that. You know, you can even come down onto your forearms, remember, if that feels even better to move through your cat-cows. But at first, you know, get easy. Let your hips shift a little side to side. And when your hips just, it's like you're wagging your tail. When your hips shift like that, just let the upper body respond however it naturally wants to. And then, make your way on back into center. Look down between your hands. Take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, let's drop into cat pose. So really feel that navel drawing towards the spine. And when you're ready to move back into your cow pose, go right ahead and send the tailbone back and up and move back through. So start to move with your own breath at your own pace. Again, you know, sometimes you feel fine, but then your hands might start to bother you. If you need to change how your hands are, do. Enjoy that nice flowing through the spine. And even if it doesn't really feel like a flowing kind of day, and I certainly know what that feels like, just pretend that it does, right? Pretend that it feels really natural. And sometimes just that makes it a little bit easier. We'll finish off the one we're on, or that we're going into. So we can come back to neutral spine. Let's bring our left forearm down to the mat, stretch our right arm towards the front of the mat there, and let your head rest down on your left forearm. And really rest your head there. Spread your fingers a little bit, feel your hands in the mat, let your heart melt down. Let it feel really easy and good to open there into that upper back. One more breath. And then bring your right hand back so it can help you press up. And we're just going to switch to bring the right forearm down. Reach your left hand towards the front edge of your mat. And then, again, just releasing the head down onto your forearm. Spread your fingers. Really feel how that left armpit feels when you release your chest down towards the ground. How it just opens. And really allowing yourself one more breath there. Nice. And then bring your left hand back. We're going to come on up. We're going to step our left foot forward and come into lunge. So, you know, if you like your blocks, grab your blocks. Bringing that left foot forward, coming on up with the back knee. Getting yourself aligned, just how you're comfortable. Remember, being aware of that front knee. Now, if you can, put a little more weight into your hands, whether they're on blocks or the floor, and lift your left heel up as high as you can. So you really have lifted the left heel off the floor. Look at your left toes. Make sure your heel isn't going towards the pinky toe side of your foot, but it's reaching directly up, right? And then go ahead and release that heel on back down, and we're going to switch legs. So bringing, excuse me, the right foot forward, and again, getting your length of stance where you feel good. Make sure that front knee, especially knowing you're going to lift that heel up, you don't want the knee to be out beyond your toes. And then when you really lift the heel up as high as you can, like you have on a high heel shoe, put a little more weight into your hands if you need to. And just take a look. Make sure you're not, making the foot sickle a little bit by the heel going out towards the pinky toe side of your foot. Push your feet gently away from each other, like you're trying to lengthen your mat. And then go ahead and bring the heel on back down. Feel the full lunge there. And let's step forward and come on into standing forward bend. So be mindful, if you need to walk a little bit in your Uttanasana, if you need to let yourself adjust to shift side to side or shift onto the balls of the feet and back onto your heels a little bit, just so it's really easy to get very evened out. Once you come on into using whatever support you need, of course, coming on into your standing forward bend. Go back to the breath. Really receive those breaths fully and deeply, feeling the movement through the ribs as you inhale and exhale. And just start to allow your face to get soft, released. Nice, and then we'll bring our hands on up to our hips. We're going to rise on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down to be in front of our hearts. So coming into mountain pose, adjust yourself however you need, right? So if you need to walk a little bit in place or get your feet just a little bit different distance apart, by all means do. And then bring your gaze forward and let your arms kind of just swing a little tiny bit, not big swings, just a little forward and back. Feeling as open as you can across your chest. And then let your arms hang again. Float your arms just a breath away from you and turn your palms forward, spread your fingers out a little bit. Imagine you're reaching down through your fingertips here now. So coming into that sense of feeling like you're standing between two panes of glass, feeling very balanced, front to back and side to side, really. And then we'll bend our elbows and bring our hands to meet in front of our hearts. Let yourself enjoy the connection there in your hands and feel your feet in the floor. Find that alignment of your pelvis. Make sure you feel the tailbone dropping down towards between your heels. Nice. We'll unfold our arms right on back down beside us and inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, we're going to bend our knees. Come on forward into your standing forward bend. Good. On your next inhale, find a nice long flat back. So if you can, imagine you're as flat tabletop back as you can. Good. And we're going to step our right foot back and come into lunge. Good. And now inhale and exhale into your downward facing dog pose. Spread those fingers nice and wide. Let yourself enjoy. Walk if you need to. You know that. If you need to walk to the tops of your toes a few times, if you need to let yourself move in any way, do. Sometimes I just like to shift my hips side to side. But feel your hands now on the mat. Really feel nice and strong there as you press back out of your hands and hug your elbows towards each other. Feel that sense of equality through the sides of the body. And we'll come on out to a plank. Once you're in your plank, just bend your right knee a little bit, but keep your hips where they are. And then come back to that leg long and just bend your left knee just a little bit. And then come back to long, right? And now let's bend both knees and put our knees down onto the floor. Lift your feet up, pull yourself forward towards the front of your mat, and then bend your elbows and lower down slowly all the way down to the floor. We're going to stretch our legs back long and come on into Sphinx pose with our elbows under our shoulders. So just be mindful there. Let it feel really good, opening through the front of the body. And feel very gently that you're pressing into the tops of your toes on the floor. Just gentle, not so much that it feels uncomfortable at all. Feel the belly engaging. One more breath. And then let's come on back down to the floor, bring our hands back by our chest, and we're going to come back through that half push-up, back to where you're on the flesh above your knees, half plank, and then put your feet down and reach back into downward facing dog pose. And walk a little bit in your dog here. Let yourself easily bend one knee at a time. Good, and then we'll bring the right foot forward and come into lunge here. So you know you can put your left knee down if you need to get back into that lunge. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend. So release to where you feel good to be, and you know that. If you need support, use it. If you like holding your elbows, let yourself hold your elbows. If you like to put your hands somewhere else, behind your legs, or maybe even behind at the back of your head clasped, if you like that sense of a little more weight to find more space in your spine. Feel that movement through the ribs as you breathe in and out. And one more breath. And then we'll release our arms, hands up to the hips. We're going to press into our feet and come on up to standing. And inhale the arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And let's unfold our arms and clasp your hands behind you here now. And when you do, let yourself just bring your gaze forward. Just feel that sense of the arms not locking, right? But your arms are pretty long here. It feels good. And then just tilt your head to the right ear towards your right shoulder, and slide your right forearm onto your low back. And if you can, squeeze your palms together there. Let yourself release there through the side of your neck. And then we'll rise back up, bring your hands back to center for a breath. Let yourself feel pretty long in your arms. And then just tilt your head to the left. Left ear towards your left shoulder. Slide your left forearm onto your low back. And then again, squeeze your palms together if you can. Let yourself feel the weight of your head there to the side. And then the head will come back up. The hands will come back to center. Arms still kind of long. And when you inhale this time, let your arms come away from your back. And when you exhale, let them come back down, more towards your buttocks, of course. So inhale, let the arms come away a little. And exhale, let them come back. And then one more time, inhaling, letting the arms come away. And on the exhale, letting them come back down to touch. Take a nice inhale with the hands down here. And then as you exhale, fold forward from your hips. Bend your knees a little bit. Come parallel to the floor with your body. Let yourself reach back through your tailbone. So you feel that sense of being aligned in your low back. You're really reaching the tailbone back, right? Take one more breath here. And now if you're okay to keep folding over your legs, go right ahead and do it. If not, don't do it. And if you want to release your arms off your back from there, you're more than welcome to let your arms come off your back. Depends on your shoulders. Feel your feet in the floor now. In fact, bend your knees a little bit. Imagine you're trying to make your mat wider with your feet. You're really pressing them away from the midline. And there you are into your hips. One more breath. And then release your arms on down. Let your next inhale lengthen out your spine. And exhale, left foot back to lunge this time. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. Good. And then from there, take your time, walk your dog a little bit, really get set up in your dog where you're comfortable. You might even glance at your hands if you're not sure about whether your hands are pretty equal there. And then hug your elbows towards each other. And when you inhale, rise your heels way up off the floor. And when you exhale, let them come back down. Of course, they won't come all the way down to the floor, but just engage just by inhaling, heels rising up, and exhale, letting them come back down. So take your time, do a couple more of those, just feeling your feet and getting in a little more into the backs of the legs. So when you lower those heels down, you really get into your calves. So one more time, come back to your full dog then. And on the next inhale, we'll flow on out to that plank. Now we're going to lower down, and you're welcome to put your knees down again, or you can come through a full push-up if you choose. And now from here, come onto your fists. Let your hands make fists. Let your elbows hug in towards each other and down towards your waist a little bit. And then just float your head a little bit up off the floor, right? So stay on the fist for a second. Take the pressure out of your hands. See if you can put a little less weight into your hands. Even bring them up off the floor for a second. Really using your back body. And then go ahead and release your hands down to the floor. And if you want to keep going up higher into a cobra, you can. You don't need to. You can stay down low. So feeling those elbows hug in towards each other. Let yourself stay where you can be in your cobra pose. From here, we're going to shift back towards child's pose. So knees down and really letting yourself shift on back. And let your arms stay overhead here in child's pose. And then we'll walk our hands over to the right. So maybe don't go as far as you usually do. Just walk over enough with the hands to let your head release and let yourself breathe into the left side. So let the breath do the work for you there. And then we'll come back through center, and we're going to go to the left with our hands. Release your head to a comfortable place. If it doesn't reach the floor, that's fine, but still just let it hang, right? And then breathe into the right side. Really let the breath do it for you. Good. One more breath. And then come on back with your hands forward again. Good, and from here, we're going to come out like we're doing a half plank again. Pick your feet up, be on the flesh above your knees. Pull yourselves toward the front of the mat. Feel your belly. And then we're going to lower down again all the way to the floor. And we're going to come onto our forearms and clasp our hands for a second. Lift your feet up again. Come up into a half forearm plank. So again, pull yourself towards the front of the mat. Feel how your belly is engaging, your hips. Really let yourself enjoy that. And now just for fun, bring the feet down. We're going to roll onto our left forearm into a little side plank. You know, just to warm up the shoulders a little more. You can be right here with your knees forward and stay right there. If you want to put your top foot on the floor and lift your hips up, maybe just a little bit more into the shoulder there, you can. If you want to do a full one, go for it. I'm just saying, you know, perhaps not going all the way, but that's up to you if you want to stretch both legs long. You don't even have to pick the hips up. We're going to come on back down. We're going to shift all the way on around to the other side. So you've got that right elbow just in the right place, right underneath your shoulder. You can keep your knees forward, just press down, and that's engagement in the shoulder. If that's enough, stay there. Left foot can come onto the floor. You can let yourself do that little variation where you lift your hips up, but the foot's really helping you, right? Or you can stretch your legs long and be in a full side forearm plank if you choose. Good. And then we're going to come on back down with the hips. We're going to roll back onto our belly. Bring your hands by your chest, and we're going to shift back to pose of a child very briefly. Take a breath into your low back. And then we'll come up to all fours. We're going to curl our toes under and come into down dog. Walk your dog a little bit. In fact, actually, let's do this. Get comfortable in your dog, and then do those same little navel circles we did. Let your navel circle here in your dog. Now, if your hips shift a little bit, your weight shifts, it's fine. They can be so little that they can almost be imperceptible, right? Or you can make them bigger and have a little bit of accompanying movement. Go the other direction when you're ready. This is quite a very fast way, actually, to warm up the core. as if we're not already, and then stay in your full dog here. Take a breath. And then we'll bring our left foot forward to come into lunge. And again, you can put your right knee down to get there. Good. And then we'll come all the way back into our Uttanasana, standing forward bend. If you feel like giving your toes a little massage, go for it. Only you know if that feels good to you, to kind of individually squeeze each toe a little bit. Take your time. Let yourself just release into your forward bend, however feels good to you. So remember, elbows above the knees is a great way to protect your back. Let the breath settle down. Watch the breaths in and out. Good. And then we'll let our hands come on up to our hips. We're going to bend our knees, rising on up to standing, and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Enjoy your mountain pose before we go through those two little bit faster sun salutations, moving with the breath. So let your breath kind of even you out here. Enjoy letting the mountain pose just help you feel very grounded. Finding that quiet strength of simply standing. And then we'll unfold our arms right on down beside us. And inhale both arms all the way out and up. And let your exhale bring you forward. Inhale into that long back. And exhale, right foot back to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your down dog. Inhale your way out to your plank. And exhale as you lower. Inhale into your cobra of choice, and exhale back to your down dog. Inhale. Exhale, right foot forward to lunge, and inhale. Exhale into your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising all the way to the top with your breath, and let your exhale bring you forward. Inhale, nice long back. Exhale, left foot back to lunge, and inhale. Exhale into down dog. Inhale your way out to your plank. Let your exhale carry you down. Inhale your way up to cobra, and exhale back to down dog. Inhale. Exhale, left foot forward to lunge, and inhale. Exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising all the way to the top with your breath. And on the exhale, we'll come forward again. Inhale, nice long back. We're going to come into down dog. Place your hands, jump or walk your way back. Take your time when you get there. If you want to wag your tail around, do it. Spread those fingers nice and wide now. Really feel your hands on the mat. Good. And we're going to bring our left foot forward, and we're coming up for warrior two. You may want your blocks handy there by the front of your mat. Line up your heels real easily. Get aligned there with your heels. Good. Get comfortable in the bend of that front knee. Feel the feet in the floor. Try to imagine you're making your mat, trying to make your mat longer so you feel that pressure away. And then from here, float your arms up. Let's bring our right arm under our left and give yourself a hug, or come into that eagle wrap or half eagle wrap if you choose. Just to release your shoulders, just for a breath. Let it feel good. Open up between the shoulder blades on the back. And then we're going to release back to warrior two arms. So let those arms come on out, reaching out through your fingertips, softening through the tops of the shoulders. Enjoy finding that sense of almost looking out beyond the wall if you can, whether your eyes are open or closed, right? And just enjoy feeling the feet again in the floor, pressing away from each other. Let's turn our left palm up and fold our right arm behind us, lower back onto the low back, your forearm there, and really reach straight up at first. So feel like you're trying to reach all the way up to the ceiling, so you really feel that length through the left side. And then see if you can go a little further back with your hand, a little further back behind you. One more inhale. And on the exhale, come into your side angle where you bring your left hand or forearm onto your thigh. Bring your right arm down to swing, just to let it hang. And just a little swinging, not big, just kind of what we did when we were standing, just so much that you just barely see it going forward and back. Good, and now we're gonna swing that right arm on up by our ear, turn your pinky down, your thumb up, press into your forearm there, and turn your left palm up and spread your fingers nice and wide. And then keep pressing as you open up into your side, extended side angle here. Letting yourself draw your pinky down towards the ground of that right hand so it feels like your shoulder just wants to come further away from your ear. Enjoy finding length through both sides of the body here. Good. If you want to go lower, you can bring your left hand down to a block or the floor. So if you feel like, I think it might be fun to try to go a little bit lower, you can let your hand go down onto a block any height or down onto the floor. One more breath. We're going to turn to look at the floor. We're going to come down into lunge, and you might want your blocks under your hands. The other thing you might want is a blanket underneath your back knee because we're going to lower it down. So if you need to grab a blanket, do. Press into the top of your toes. Let your hips shift forward and stay with your hands down here for a second. Just enjoy opening up through the front of that right hip there. So now, if you can, bring your left forearm up on to above your knee there so that you can press down into that and get up a little higher. And maybe even see about bringing your hands together and like bringing them clasped or bringing into prayer hands. If that doesn't feel good, put your hands back down. If you want to release more up, go ahead and bring your hands to your thigh. Let yourself come up. Bring your hands to your heart if you want. Or reach your arms on up overhead. That's up to you. Be really mindful. It's really deep and opening the front of the hip here. Also, some people's knees just need to be very mindful of your knees too. Come on back down with your hands. From here, we're going to shift our hips back and let that left leg come straighter, come out into that hamstring stretch, extending your torso out over that front leg. So as you're shifting back, you're really finding that back of the leg there. Take your time, feel lengthened out through your spine. And if your knee doesn't like it, again, you don't have to shift your hips back. You can stay more over your knee there so that there's not as deep of a bend. Good, one more breath here. And now we're going to shift back forward. We're going to lift the back knee up and come on back into lunge. Now your twist can be your choice of a twist here. I mean, we kind of got deep. If you want to bring your right elbow over to your left knee, you don't have to bring your hands into prayer. You can keep your left hand on the block if you want and be right there. No, and you can bring your hands if you want into prayer hands. That's up to you if you like to do that twist. Or you can do the twist where we keep our right hand down, bring our left hand on up, stretch the arm up, right? You pick your twist. Let it feel good. One more breath. And then we'll come on back down with that hand. And we're going to come back into downward facing dog pose from here. Once you're in dog, walk to the tops of the feet a couple of times. Press down into the tops of your toes. Let that feel really good. Good. And then bring your feet a little closer together. Lift your right leg up in the air. Bend the knee and open the hip for just a breath or two. Look under your right arm. And then lower that foot on back down and we'll go to the other side. Left leg up. Knee bends. Open. Look underneath your left arm if you want. Good. And then come on back down. And from here you're on your own. If you want to come out for vinyasas or kriyas, you're more than welcome to do those or not to do those, right? You can come out for plank, move to up dog. You can, if you want, put your knees down and rest. So don't push through anything. Good. And then when you're ready, we'll meet back in downward facing dog pose. Good. And we're going to bring our right foot forward. And we're coming up for warrior two on the other side. So again, have your blocks handy there. Line your heels up. Bend that front knee. Take your time. Get that alignment of that knee and get the length of stance where you feel really good to be, right? You feel even between your feet. Float your arms on up. Bring your left arm under your right. Either give yourself the hug there and let the elbows soften down. You can do your half wrap, the back of the left hand to the outside of the right elbow. You can do your full wrap if you want. So finding that release between the shoulder blades on the back. Letting that openness happen with your breath there at that space. Imagine you're breathing into that space. And then we'll unwind our arms again and come into those warrior two arms, reaching out through the fingertips. Feel the feet in the floor now. Feel as grounded as you can equally through your feet. And feel how you feel that same equality coming up into your legs and your hips. And then up through the sides of the body into your shoulders and your arms and even your hands. And we're going to fold this left arm behind us, turn the right palm up, and inhale straight up. So think about just really going straight up from your shoulder with your hand. And breathe into that side. You don't have to look up. If your neck bothers you, don't do it, right? And now if you can, go a little more back. So you come a little more behind yourself with that hand. One more inhale. And as we exhale, we'll come into that side angle with the forearm on the thigh. Turn the palm up. Look down at the floor and really hang your left arm. Feel the weight of the arm. It doesn't have to swing far at all. Just let yourself feel how heavy it feels. And how your shoulder just goes, ah. And then swing that arm up by your ear. Turn your pinky down, your thumb up. Press down into that right forearm so you're really engaging that way. So it's easy to open up into that side, extended side angle. When you turn the whole left side of the body up, you're pressing into your forearm there so much that you're just long through the underside of the body. If you want to lower your right hand down more, by all means do. You can put it on a block. You can put your hand down towards the floor. So it's up to you whether your hip feels like, I'd like to go just a little bit deeper. Take your time there. Now we're going to turn to look at the floor, and we're going to come on down with that left hand, come into your lunge. Remember, if you like a blanket, put it underneath your left knee as you lower the left knee down. And at first here, keep your hands down, press into the top of the foot, let your hips shift as much as you can. And then see if you can come out of your hands a little bit to put your forearm right there above your knee. And if that's enough, don't go any further. If you like to bring your hands together, you can. Of course, this continuing to rise the shoulders more over the hips is totally up to you. And again, if you want your hands to your heart or you want your arms overhead, again, that's up to you. It's not for everybody, right? Staying forward is fine to let yourself open through the front of the hip. Good. We're going to come on down with our hands. Remember, we're going to keep that back knee down and shift our hips back and straighten that front leg out. Heel on the floor, the toes come up. You've got your foot with the heel drawing down towards the floor and then back towards you. So there you are, fully engaged in that right leg. And just letting yourself ease your way to where you can be. Good. One more breath. And now we're going to shift forward. We're coming into that lunge. So remember, as you lift that back knee up and you anticipate your twist, you can decide. I mean, you can keep your right hand on the block and put your left elbow on your knee. You don't have to lift that right hand up. You can if you want, coming into twisted prayer. Or, of course, you can keep your left hand down, bring your right hand on up, come into your twist that way. So you pick your twist. See if you can feel as long as you can through your spine here. Out through the top of your head, back through your inner heel. Nice. And then we'll come on back down into our lunge. And we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose. And this time, once you get into dog, bend both your knees and really feel your belly coming towards your thighs for a minute. Press back out of your hands. And then go ahead and walk your dog, and you're on your own. If you want to come out to vinyasas or kriyas, maybe you feel like you want to come and put your knees down, or maybe you just want to stay in dog, right? So you move the way you need, or don't move, whatever works best. Enjoy letting your body kind of do what it feels comfortable to do here. Good. And then finish off, especially if you're doing something two-sided. Make sure you finish off there. We'll come on back into downward facing dog pose. This time our left foot's going to come forward, and we're coming up for warrior one. But actually, we're going to try the warrior one variation with the heel off the floor. So it's like a lunge. You're in a lunge, right? I like to bend the right knee a little bit and use my blocks to help me come up. I can bring my hands to my thigh like we did before when we were on the floor, or I can bring my hands to my heart. It is like a high lunge. So you're opening across the front of that hip still. We've already gotten pretty open, and if you feel like you're losing your balance, you have to put the heel down, do it. If you like your arms up overhead, you can. Don't have to. Coming into that warrior one variation. One more breath. And then let your arms come on down. We're going to come on around to face the long edge of our mat for a wide-legged forward bend. So I'm going to adjust my stance. I'm going to grab my blocks because I like them, and I'm going to come on forward with my hands down to blocks to the floor, and then bend a knee at a time. Take your time. Ease your way into those inner thighs. If you like to turn your toes out, go right ahead. If you really like to also play with that, turning your toes out and lifting up to one heel at a time or shifting your hips down, do. In other words, let your body kind of take over to do what feels really good and releasing for you. So that when you feel kind of evened out and you're ready to come back to turning your feet parallel if they weren't already, just set yourself up and use whatever support you need that makes you feel like you're really able to let go in your upper body, right? So if that means, letting your head hang and bringing your hands back towards between your feet or behind you, or maybe that it feels so much better to you to have support of blocks under your head or blocks under your forearms, right? And just experiment a little bit till you find the place where you feel like, this is it for today, because every day is a different day of how that's going to feel, right? So, and then just receive those full breaths all the way in and all the way out. Enjoy the wave-like feeling of your breath. Good. One more breath here. And we'll take our time. We're going to walk ourselves back over to that left foot. So just adjust yourself back to your lunge, however you need to. And we'll come on back into downward facing dog pose. If you want to do a couple of quick vinyasas or kriyas, go for it. Again, if you just want to stay in your dog, I'm not going to stay long. Good. And then when you're ready, meet back in down dog. And from here, we'll bring our right foot forward and come into, again, that warrior one. I like to widen my stance when I'm thinking about rising up. And right, if you need to bend that back knee a little bit to get yourself up, again, you can keep your hands down if you need. You can put your heel down if you need to. If you feel uncomfortable, use whatever support you need. You can bring your hands to your heart, or you can bring your arms overhead. Feeling that openness there in the front of the hip. And then when you're ready to bring your hands down, be mindful, be easy. We're going to walk around into a wide-legged forward bend from here. And again, really just let yourself adjust, whatever feels good to you, so that you can get really easily adjusted. Get your feet, make sure your feet are pretty equal. And maybe you're a little pigeon-toed, or maybe you're a little more parallel with the outer edges of your feet or inner edges, right? And then bring your hands in front of you. Let your spine be long. You can use the blocks or you can use the floor. Feel like you're pressing your feet away from each other, trying to make your mat longer. Imagine your inner thighs melting their way behind you. Turn to look to your right, float your right arm up. Now, you can stay parallel to the floor with the arm, or you can keep going up if you want, like we do when we're on all fours. And if your shoulder's like, man, I'm staying right here parallel to the floor, do it. And then we'll come on back down with that hand. Look to your left. Left arm comes up. It can stay up there about parallel to the floor, or you can keep rising it on up if you want. Keep pressing your feet away from each other. Feel that sense of the twist in the middle of your back. Beautiful. And then we'll come on back down. And be mindful here again. Take your time. Wiggle around however you want to be able to get yourself into a place to be comfortable in the pose, right? So just play a little bit. Once you get settled in and you're able to be with your breath, just imagine your inhales and exhales are equally important. Feel that sense of them wanting to even out in length. And enjoy that physical movement as you breathe in and out. Good. One more nice, full, deep breath. When you're ready to walk back to your right foot, take your time, walk on back into your lunge, and we'll make our way on back into downward facing dog pose. And again, do what feels good to finish off here. These are the last vinyasas or kriyas if you want to do any. It's fine to just come into your child's pose and rest. Just take your time. Let yourself move into a place where you know it's best for you today. Good. And when you're ready to meet back in down dog, let yourself come on back into down dog. Good. Let's separate our feet a little wider. Walk our hands on back and come into your squat of choice, whether you want to put your elbows above your knees. Maybe you feel really good to let yourself squat all the way down, and your hands can be any number of places. They can be around the outside of your feet. You can let yourself come into hands in front of you if you'd like. Just let your back and your low hips release the best way for you. Good. And we are going to rise ourselves back up. So come on into getting your feet underneath you and set up for your mountain pose here so that your feet feel really equal there underneath you. Let your knees soften. Bring your hands on up to your hips. Press into your feet equally as you rise straight on up. And once you get there, let your arms hang again, like we did at the beginning. Let your arms just feel really nice and heavy, but feel open across your chest. And then just softly bend your elbows, bring your hands to meet in front of your heart. And now if you can, that hand mudra, where the pointer finger and the middle finger fold down and the thumbs, cross. And it's only the pinky and the ring finger that are still out there and long. So you just enjoy feeling your hands together in that way. Let yourself come to watching your heart beat, really feeling the beating of your heart and watching your breath. Nice. And then we'll just release our hands right on down beside us and shake out, move around however you need. We are going to come to a wall. And we have room. We can actually get 3 people there if you want. Susie, you can be right there, and you can unplug that if you need to. And let's see how it pans out as we spread around the room, because we really do have plenty of room in here to come to a wall. Yeah, so 3 of you. Lynette, you can be over, like, Chrissy, if you don't mind moving over a little bit, she can be in between you guys. Or you can be over here if you want, Lynette.
Oh, I can go further.
It's up to you.
So we've got room over here if we need it.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, sorry, there's still this one, too. You guys okay? Okay. Okay, let's come into doing a little nice, easy tree pose with our right hand to the wall, okay? So, making you get up again. So, at first, just shifting your weight to your right foot and bringing your left foot in and up to tree where you like, right? You may like it below your knee, you may like it above your knee. Feel the foot gently pressing into the inside of your leg and the inside of your leg pressing back into your foot. And then just take your time there. Do you want to let the right arm come up the wall? Would you rather just bring your hands to your heart? So do you want arms overhead? Would you prefer to let yourself just stay with a hand on the wall? You know, I just love to keep my hand on the wall and close my eyes in tree pose sometimes. Because it feels so good. But you can balance. And if you start to lose your balance, you know, put your foot down, put your hand on the wall, do what works. Good. Let's bring our right hand back to the wall. Now take your left hand to draw your left knee up towards you a little bit, up towards your shoulder. Take the foot off the leg, in other words. And then send that knee forward of you. Let the knee come directly forward. And then we're going to send the knee down and the foot behind us and come on into holding on to the top of the left foot there, sorry. At first, keep your knees side by side. Bend your right knee a little bit so you're not locking it. And then pull the heel in towards your outer buttocks of that left foot a little bit. Let yourself really feel that quad. Nice. And now start to send the knee back. Pull your heel off your bottom as you start to feel like you're trying to straighten your leg. Come forward with your chest a little bit into your dancers. And again, you can balance here. You can let go of the wall. You can let yourself stay holding on to the wall. Just be mindful. Let yourself enjoy coming into where you can be there. Good. I don't either. And then let yourself release. Bring the knee forward again just to release your hip. So it's like you're stepping up a step. You can hold on to your thigh there. Good. And then come on down and we're going to turn around and go to the other side. So now coming into tree pose with your left foot grounding you. Your right foot into whatever height you like it to be. And now take your time, right? So feel the foot coming into your leg, the inside of your leg coming back into your foot. Again, if you prefer to let yourself keep your hand on the wall and close your eyes because that feels really good. You can internalize what's happening there in your tree pose, or you can practice, obviously, your balance with wherever you want your arms to be. And then left hand back to the wall. Let your right hand bring your right knee on up towards your shoulder a little bit so you disconnect from your leg with your foot, right? And then let your knee come forward, which should feel kind of good. And then we'll send the knee down, put the foot behind us, reach back. If we can get hold of our foot, do. Now again, bend your left knee a little bit so you're not locking it, and pull that heel in towards the outer buttocks a little bit. But the knee is still facing straight down, right? And then, as you think about deciding, okay, coming back with that knee, pressing my foot into my hand, letting my chest lead me forward, feels good. You can come into your dancers, and you can balance here if you want. Not necessary to do that. You can, if you want, just keep your hand on the wall, enjoy that quad stretch, and of course, that there's a little back bend going on there. Nice. And then let yourself release. Come on down. Back back to the wall, and let yourself come on down. Come onto your forearms at first, just to let your hips stay up in the air. right? So you're just letting your head kind of rest down, releasing your neck. Your hips are up in the air. It feels kind of good to let your low back and your hips release like that, instead of back all the way into child's pose. Good, and then stretch your arms overhead, shift your hips back a little bit, and we're gonna come on up to all fours and come on into toes curled up, heels up the wall, toes forward of the wall into down dog. Spread your fingers nice and wide, hug your elbows towards each other. Let your head just gently turn to look under one arm at a time. Obviously you can't look under both arms at the same time, but take your time there, and if you want to play with lifting a foot up the wall, you are more than welcome to. It is not necessary, right? That is totally optional, whether you like to walk up the wall with one foot or both feet, or come down and rest, and then go up again maybe. You know, so if your wrists are bothering you, everybody knows if you want to get out of your hands, get out of your hands. Come onto your forearms and do the dolphin work there instead of handstand prep work. So, again, really just let yourself be easy. Rest when you want to rest. Remember to find that sense of releasing between the shoulder blades on your back, whether you're on your hands or your forearms, either one. But really, if you're able to be inverted for a little bit and you can appreciate that being upside down, do. If not, you all know, you can always lie with your legs up the wall instead and have your feet up above that way. Good. So rest when you need, and if you want to go up one more time, let it be now so that you kind of get that final one in. And resting for all of us can be different, whether you like to be in child's pose or be with your head above your heart. Good. And now when you do get ready to come on down or around, if you're lying down, we're going to come around with our legs in front of us, okay? So we're going to sit in staff pose. So I know for some of us, sitting in staff pose, not so comfortable. Sit up on a blanket if you need to, right? Or even if you're really tight in your hamstrings, putting a roll blanket or blocks underneath your knees and then sitting up to can make it doable, where you feel like, oh wow, I'm just like a new person. I can feel that sense of length in my spine. So take your time, palms face down towards the ground. Let yourself feel the sense of being really wide open across your chest. Feel like your inner thighs are melting their way down towards the ground. And you can have your heels drawing back towards you, that same engagement where you feel, oh, there are my hamstrings. They're fully engaged. And then we'll ease our way all the way up overhead with our arms. So let yourself turn your palms to face each other. And we're going to come on forward. Now think of coming forward from your low back. You can lower your hands down to wherever you want, right? They can reach your toes or your feet. You can put them on your shins, your thighs, on the floor. Think of coming into your seated forward bend where you can be. Coming forward from that low back. Knees can be bent. And remember, you don't want to feel a harsh pulling sensation in the backs of your legs. Certainly not at your sitting bones, right? And don't push it. Come where you can. Good. One more breath. And then rise up. Let your arms come back overhead again. So you're rising back up with the arms overhead. We're going to circle the arms behind us. Put your hands on the floor and think about whether you want to come into reverse plank or not. You can just put your hands down, open your chest that way, or you can go ahead and lift your hips up and come into reverse plank. Where you look in that is up to you. So, and how your arms are turned. You can have your fingers facing back more towards the wall or more towards the front of your mat. We're going to come on back down. We're going to inhale our arms back out and up overhead. And we're going to come forward again, letting yourself reach into that seated forward bend. Feel the heels on the floor, draw them back towards you a little bit. Let it feel really good. One more breath. And now we're going to come all the way up again, arms overhead, letting yourself sit up tall. Circle the arms again around behind you. And this time, let's bend our knees, put our feet on the floor. And again, this is optional. If you want to lift up into that four-footed table, you can. And, be mindful. If you like to play in this pose, you can if you want. Let your feet come a little closer together and put one foot up on top of the other thigh. You don't have to do that, obviously. And you can switch and do the other one if you want. Or you can go, there's no way I'm doing that, right? And then you can come down, and then you probably really do want to come down. And turn your hands over so that when you come into that little seated forward bend, you have the backs of your hands on the floor, and they're kind of behind you, right? So it's not like you're pushing into your hands. It's just the natural weight of you coming forward, helping your wrists to release, right? And just release and breathe. Good. And then we're going to rise on back up, and we're going to come down onto our backs on the floor. So take your time. Make your way on down. Once you get down there, let those knees come in towards your chest. And, you can hold your knees however you want. You can roll side to side. If you like to send your knees to one side and turn your head to look the other way, that sometimes feels really releasing for your neck, for your upper back. And then, so finish off. Once you feel really easy there in your low back, your hips, we'll bring our feet onto the floor, bring our arms out beside us into like a T position. And let's cross our right thigh over our left thigh. So we're woman cross-legged, right? Your left foot's there on the floor. Now just barely let your knees come over to the right. So the left hip's going to come up, but maybe not very much. You're on your right hip though, right? Your right butt cheek, really. And then come back into center and go the other side. So you're just barely letting the knees go over to the left now. And you shift it onto the left. And then come back into center. Now you're going to keep doing this at your own timing. And as far down as you want to go with your knees. So you may go, oh, I want to really just let those knees come way down towards the floor. And stay for a little bit, or you might want to continuously let yourself just move back and forth. Just take your own time to let yourself find release. And if you're like, oh, I much prefer to let my knees go to one side or the other and stay there, do, right? And you can always put a block underneath each side, have a block so that the knees go to and rest on a block too. So if you're feeling like you've favored one side much more than the other and you don't feel kind of equal, go ahead and maybe switch one more time if you need to, because we're going to do the other leg here in a second. So once you're ready to come back to center, kind of put your feet down after you uncross. Lift your hips up. You can do a little mini bridge pose. You can lift up all the way into bridge pose if you want. You can just kind of just straighten your spine out. Let it feel good. So that when you do come back down, the left thigh is going to go on top of the right. And again, let the knees come over. You can pick the side. What side seems like your favorite? Does it feel better to come over towards the top leg or towards the bottom leg? I like both of them. But again, you can determine whether you want to move back and forth just a little bit. If you like to go and stay on one side, then by all means do that. And you know, it doesn't have to be a deep twist like this. When the knees just go a little bit and you're just on that one, you know, side, one buttock, then it's really all the way up into your side waist, right? So take your time and, you know, if you feel like you want to stay longer on one side or the other now, you can. And of course, if you are like done with doing these and you're like, I just want to uncross, then go for it. You can uncross whenever you're ready. You can keep going if you need to finish off to feel even. You know, you might want to come and do a bridge pose at the end. You might feel like you want to let yourself come into a Uttanasana, or you might decide you want to let yourself come into a plow pose, or lift your legs up and come into a wide angle. There might be any number of things that your body is saying, oh, I just want to do this. So take your time. If you need to do another pose for a little bit, do, because I'm going to start to walk around and bring stuff for whoever might want any kind of support. And remember, I have all these blankets. I've got eye pillows. If anybody wants a tissue and an eye pillow, I do. I do. Bolster if you need. And just let yourself be with your breath. So again, accepting breaths. Appreciating how your breath just wants to settle down and calm down and quiet down. And how your body responds to that, wanting to do the same thing. And if your brain stays a little bit more active, it's okay. Just keep returning your awareness to your breath, however is the best way for you to do that. Find those nice little quiet places to give yourself time to benefit from all you just did. And allow yourself to completely and fully relax.